Hi everybody, this is Katie Jo, and I am a co-author on this amazing book that just came out, and I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Kiera Polson, who is the CEO founder of Freedom House Publishing, who published this amazing book. And we wanted to share with you a little bit about why this vision mattered and why we were so passionate about creating this book. And this is really in alignment with what Freedom House is about, because we're one book of many, but what is the vision for Freedom House?
Yes, so it's such an honor that we were able to publish this book. This book is so powerful. And at Freedom House, we only publish books that I believe are sacred, that are going to go out and transform humanity. They're going to actually change people's lives. So when you came to me with this idea, I was like, this has to be done. We have to bring this through. Mothers need these stories. And it was such an honor to be able to publish this book.
Now, I am honored to be able to be part of this book. And this is actually a sketch that I did on the front, and it's of Kiera and her daughter.
So I love it. My little 10-year-old. I love that picture. Thank you.
I do too. It was, to me, represented what motherhood is. So as we talk about the birth of this book, if you will, no pun intended. So, and you can probably hear in the video, if you do, I have my 2-year-old here, so how perfect to have a 2-year-old in the background. This is what Working Mothers is.
Yeah, it is all of the things. And that's what I love about this book, is it really takes every part of motherhood and brings it to light so that nobody feels alone. No mother feels alone.
And that is why the book was written. That's who this book is for. It's been out 1 week, and I have had so many people messaging me and saying, I read it and now I'm buying 5, because I don't know what to say to this mother who had a miscarriage, or this mom that's going through postpartum, or this friend of mine that is 40 but has never had kids, and it's one of the deepest heartaches that she has. And they said, I don't know what to say, but this book says it. And that is who this book is for. And when we talk about why this book is relevant, what comes up for you?
Well, what I feel, as I read through every chapter, as we were putting it together, I just felt like these are the stories that nobody's telling. And these are the stories that, if they were told, would actually change a mother's life. When a mother goes through a miscarriage, I know someone right now who just went through a horrific miscarriage. None of her sisters went through a miscarriage. Her mother didn't. She's told me, I feel like an alien. Like nobody I know knows what I'm going through. And because of that, I can give her this book and be like, hey, there's so many stories in here. And when she finds herself in a story, she's going to finally not feel alone.
Yeah.
And it will be a part of her healing.
And that's the reason I felt like this was so important to write. And we have a book in there, a story in there about stillbirth, and stillbirth is a lot of people who've never experienced that. There are miscarriages, and in no way are we invalidating either.
Yeah.
But there is a different grief process that you go through. Some of the stories, in fact, the reason that I felt where this book came about was having the little toddler that's running around in the middle of a pandemic where nobody could come over and visit. I was reaching out to the doctor with some health situations that had occurred from the labor, and they're saying, we can't see you and we can't help you because everything's shut down, and unless it's life-threatening, you can't come in. And so it was so hard and so lonely, and so had this last baby not come, and I don't think this would be here because I felt so alone. And when I reached out to a lot of ladies, would you share your postpartum? They said no.
Yeah.
And they said no because I would never want my children to read it and think I didn't love them, because I'm okay now.
Yeah.
But in the middle of it, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I knew I needed to share my postpartum and hope and trust that down the road my son can understand the discernment, because we do become okay down the road. Down the road, but we don't feel it in the middle of that, and you think you're such an evil person for struggling. So I wanted to share also, I bring this point up, but why I feel like this book is so vital too, is the statistics are, imagine if 90% of everything that you've ever written or everything you've ever read or seen portrayed in media about fatherhood, every movie, every social media, every book, every medical book about fatherhood was written by women. It would distort the idea of what it is, how it's supposed to look, and how we're supposed to show up, and what that identity or role is. But those are the statistics of motherhood. Almost everything you've ever seen in media, movies, books written, even medical books about birth and labor, are written by men. So it's important that we share these stories so that women think, I don't see this anywhere, but this is what I'm feeling.
Yes. And these are like stories, like we have 2 anonymous stories inside this book. And I'm really grateful that they came through, because there are stories that they were told because they need to be told, but they aren't ones where it's like, we're not gonna, like, these women are like, we're not gonna put our names on this because it would not serve our families, but the stories need to be told. And these stories are stories that I know there are mothers out there who are struggling, and they need to hear these stories so that they don't feel alone, because that's the piece. When someone doesn't feel alone anymore, they now have hope. When we feel alone, we feel so hopeless, and then we get just stuck in this cycle of depression and anxiety and feeling like there is no way ahead. And that's what this story gets, like all the stories in here, there is one story that every mother will find themselves in.
What is one story that really stuck out to you? I mean, there's 22 different chapters, I believe, but what's one that really, when you read it, went, this is it? Because I felt that throughout the book, but there's so many that I'm like, there's somebody out there that needs this.
Oh, I don't know. There were so many. I really loved your short stories. So you wrote a lot of snippets, like really tiny, like just like motherhood moments. And every one of them, I just loved them. I loved the one about your son climbing. It's like these little things that they were simple, and yet like, oh, I know this. I've been there. And it was just, I don't know, they just did something for me. I really loved all the pieces that you brought in.
I loved those. It was fun to write. I felt so passionate about this. I was doing the artwork. I was doing all these little bridges in between chapters because I wanted to. These stories are, like you have said, is the stories that we don't hear but we need to hear. And it can be really hard. And it's not a hard read. What it is it just touches your heart so deeply for hearing other mothers' stories and some of the things that they've experienced. And so I knew that we needed to have some pockets in there to also highlight, here's some of the most beautiful moments of motherhood too. And one of the chapters that I really wanted to highlight is a dear friend of mine, Keisha, and I've known her for so long, and I remember she had 5 children under 5 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And I can't remember, I don't dare tell her stories, but that is, I think that she has lost 4 children, pregnancies.
Wow.
So she has gone through so much, and she left an abusive situation and was a single mom with all of those kids, and put herself through college, got a master's degree, and is a family therapist to help other families in hard situations. And when I was a single mom, I just couldn't see any way to go back to college. How could I do this? And she has been and is such an inspiration to me. And that's why I feel like this is also so powerful for women who are in that situation, which is roughly 40% of women who have been married, because they end up divorced. It's roughly that number, that statistic, and feeling so hopeless. So she brings a lot of hope.
And what I saw, the stories in here are beautiful, and they're going to change everyone's lives. But when we worked with the authors, because we met for 4 weeks coaching and doing time and like really helping them receive their chapters, I watched it heal their lives. And that's what I love about collaboration books, is that it heals the author's lives first, and then it goes out and it heals the reader's lives. And it was just like such an honor to sit that like with you and these women and helping them bring their chapters through and watching it transform their worlds first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to do another motherhood book every year for Mother's Day, so people can connect with us and enroll in that. But how can they find Freedom House if you are somebody out there that you know you have a book in you, or you're not sure if you have a book in you, but you feel like your story deserves to be told? And it doesn't have to be about motherhood. Knowing what Freedom House is about, how can they find you?
Thank you. So Freedom House, it's really easy. You can go to our website, freedomhousepublishingco.com. You can always go to our Instagram. It's the same thing, Freedom House Publishing Co. And we have a place on our website where you can just submit and I'll reach out to you and talk to you about your book. I am so deeply passionate about bringing really powerful books to the world. Books that haven't been written before. Books that aren't just how-to, but books that are transformative. And it's just lights my soul up to watch the books that are coming through right now, and just such an honor to work with you, Katie Jo.
Oh, I love this. I feel so grateful to do this. I knew this was going to be a series. I knew we would need to do this year after year. I mean, 90% of the whole world history about motherhood is written by men. We need to, I mean, this could go on for eons and we wouldn't even come close to being able to balance that out, but it's so vital. And you can find me at sagecanvas.com or katiejodrum.com and reach out. And I will include the links with this video for how to enroll in the next collaboration book for Mother's Story, and also how to connect with Freedom House so that you can find your path to being a published author. So thank you, and thank you for coming and stopping by out of town just to do this. So.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, my joy. Thank you for saying yes to this call that came to you in your heart, because this book is one of the most powerful books I've read. So I'm just really honored.
Thank you. I love it. It wouldn't have happened without you, so thank you. All right, well, thank you for tuning in and making it to the end of the video. Stay in touch.